Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Minnesota.
This Twins and White Sox series is brought to you by the all-new Chrysler 200 with available all-wheel drive, America's imports. Coming off a series win over Cleveland, the homestand continues for the Twins with the first of 4 tonight against the White Sox. Detroit continues to lead the division, now 6.5 games clear of the Indians. The White Sox and Twins round out the Central with Chicago 1 game in front of Minnesota. Good evening. Welcome to Target Field. I'm Marnie Gellner. The Twins are coming off a pretty good series over Cleveland where they took 2 out of 3 from the Indians. Winning this series would mean taking 3 of 4, and the Twins have played very well within their division. We'll get you set up for this series against the Sox. Minnesota is in a stretch of playing 13 consecutive games against divisional opponents. So far, the Twins have done well in that area, going 19 and 15 in games within the division. Minnesota would love to see a repeat performance of what happened a month ago here at Target Field, a 4-game sweep of the Sox. Same scenario, too. Chicago was in town for a Thursday through Sunday series. The White Sox come into this one with some strong starting pitching. Their starters have given up 2 earned runs or fewer in 9 of the last 16 games. And there is a rookie phenom in the lineup tonight. Jose Abreu leads all of baseball with 29 home runs. His 74 RBI rank him 3rd in the major leagues. Abreu has 1 home run so far in 7 games against the Twins. That is your series setup. We begin with 4 tonight against the White Sox. And when we come back, Dick and Roy have a look at tonight's starter, Phil Hughes.
By Menards. Save big money on all your home improvement needs at Menards. And by Jeep. Hurry in and get a great deal during the Jeep Summer Clearance event. Beautiful day to be in a Minnesota waterway or at Minnesota's best ballpark, Target Field, hosting a 4-game series between the Twins and the White Sox. Hector Noese making his second start this year against the Twins, and Phil Hughes will try to beat the White Sox here tonight in his third start against Chicago. And we welcome you to Target Field. Dick Bramer along with Roy Smalley for this 4-game series. And the Twins are going to hand the ball to Phil Hughes. Now, there's no question that he's been Minnesota's most reliable starting pitcher. But over his last half dozen starts or so, starting with his last start against the White Sox, teams have been scoring some runs against him.
And I listened to Jack Morris, our colleague in the pregame show, and as a hitter, I believe he was spot on about what has been the difference with Phil Hughes. It's gotten around the league now. He's not going to walk in. He's coming right at the strike zone. Get it ready early and hit the fastball because he throws a lot of them. And teams have been kind of ambushing him a little bit. He's also left some balls in the middle of the plate where in his best streaks he was throwing that fastball around the perimeters of the zone. So I really believe that Phil Hughes is going to throw a lot more of the slow breaking ball, get him a little back and forth action, and he'll get back to where he was. On the offensive side, second baseman Brian Dozier is heating up again. A home run, a couple of doubles, 2 RBIs. And think about this young guy learning how to hit here in the big leagues. He's just coming into his own. He's proven he's got a lot of power. He's got to find the ability now to go back to the right side of the field to get that average up. That's what he's starting to do a little bit more. That's just the maturation of a guy that's going to be a really, really nice hitter.
With more than 2 months left in the regular season, it's a foregone conclusion. The Rookie of the Year this year will be Chicago's Jose Abreu. So far, the Twins have pitched him pretty well.
Yeah, they have, and the best way to pitch him, I think, in this lineup is just don't ever let him beat you. This guy has got tremendous power to all fields. He's mechanically so very sound. That's why he's putting up the numbers that he is. And I think when you have a guy that is this good and this hot as he is coming into this series, you just don't ever throw him something when he can beat you. Don't even come close.
Just about a month ago, the White Sox came to town for a 4-game series, and the Twins swept the Sox out of town. We'll see if they can do it again in this 4-game series in July. Of each other all season long. Both franchises are looking to become relevant again in the Central for the first time in 4 seasons. Chicago and Minnesota have shown signs of improvement both at the plate and on the mound, but they are still in search of the consistency to get above the 500 mark and become a contender. Who will break free and make a run in the second half? Find out next in the first of 4 games between the Twins and White Sox. And Phil Hughes will be making his 3rd start of the year against the Chicago White Sox. Beautiful weather here on a Thursday night. And it's odd that one team would have 2 4-game series in one location, yet the White Sox are here for their second 4-game series. Robin Ventura hoping that his team can stay in 4th place. The White Sox are 1 game ahead of the Twins in the standings, and to be sure, there's nothing like these 2 teams in the good old days when they were fighting for 1st place rather than 4th place. The Menards batting order: Adam Eaton, Alexei Ramirez, Jose Abreu, Adam Dunn, Diane Viciedo, Connor Gillespie, Gordon Beckham, Alejandro De Aza, and Tyler Flowers.
And on the mound for the Twins, Phil Hughes. We talked about him just a few moments ago. Started the season very, very well. Been just about average here in his last 5 or 6 games. He's going to try to get back on track.
First man on the box, Adam Eaton, and he takes outside, ball 1. Hughes with a no decision and a win against Chicago. Eaton, Ramirez, and Abreu in the Chicago first. And there's a strike on the outside corner.
There's a good example of what Phil Hughes was doing in his most successful streak and not doing so much lately, is throwing the ball on the corner.
And now 1-2.
When you throw 92, 93, 94 miles an hour and you're throwing it on the perimeters of the strike zone, either in or out or up or down around the rectangular box of a strike zone, that's plenty good stuff to get big league hitters out. If you throw it in the middle, you almost can't throw it hard enough.
And a breaking ball. Dozier backhands, fires to first. Good play, 1 away. Hughes gave him a breaking ball, and Eaton tried to push a base hit up the middle, but Dozier would have none of it. 1 down. And the Northland Ford defense for the Twins. Sam Fold is in left field. Danny Santana in center, and Oswaldo Arcia in right. Chris Parmalee will take over a lot of the first base duties now that Kendrys Morales has been traded. Dozier, Escobar up the middle, Plouffe at third, and Suzuki behind the plate. 1 down, and here's all-star shortstop Alexei Ramirez, and he swings away at the first pitch and fouls it back.
And that's been the scouting report that's gone around the league, as we mentioned. Phil Hughes will come right at you. He doesn't walk anybody. It's his most successful trait. He's going to throw strikes. No sense waiting.
A little breaking ball off the corner. In the open, you mentioned the term ambush, usually meaning team kind of jumps out early in the at-bat and they string some things together. That's exactly what the White Sox did in their last start against Hughes. He had 6 up, 6 down in the first 2 innings. And then the 3rd inning went single, walk, strikeout, double, single, and pretty soon the White Sox had 5 runs on the board.
Already in these first 2 at bats, it looks like we've seen Phil Hughes' let's call it not a new strategy, but current strategy. We've seen him on the perimeters of the strike zone with a fastball, and he's throwing more breaking balls already to 2 hitters than we've seen him throw in a long time. And there's a 95-mile-an-hour fastball on the outer limit, up and away limit of the strike zone. That's when he has been the most successful, and we haven't seen pitches around the zone like that for some time.
A lot of things have changed with the Twins roster since we were last on the air. The biggest move made today when the Twins traded Kendrys Morales to Seattle for right-handed relief pitcher Stephen Pryor. Pryor will report to AAA Rochester. And Jorge Polanco, who got not much more than a cup of coffee earlier this year, was on his way to being promoted from A to AA. And as Ron Gardenhire said, they intercepted him at the airport and sent him here instead for a couple of days.
What a wonderful surprise for that young man. I'm sure he was thrilled to go to AA, and all of a sudden he's making a left-hand turn and coming to the big leagues. That's exciting.
1 strike to Abreu. And as we go through this 4-game series, let's keep track of how many times Abreu comes up with the bases empty, because that might be central to the Twins winning this series. 2 quick strikes. Check swing foul.
The Mall of America scouting report on this young man. What a tremendous hitter he is. He's got tremendous strength, great hitting mechanics, and those first 2 things lead to the 3rd item. because of his strength and great hitting mechanics, he can hit the ball out anywhere from foul line to foul line. Makes him very, very tough to pitch to.
Fly ball right field. And retreating to the edge of the track, Arcia with the catch. And it's a 1-2-3 first inning for Phil Hughes. Mathematically get them out of last place in the division ahead of the White Sox. And he's going to go with some elements of a successful lineup yesterday. Sam Fuld, a more veteran hitter, switching spots with Danny Santana. So the Menard batting order has Fuld leading off, Dozier and Blue, Willingham, Arcia, and Suzuki, Parmalee, Escobar, and Santana. And Hector Noesi will pitch for the White Sox, his second start of the year against the Twins. Strike one.
Noesi, fastball, slider, changeup kind of guy, and he's been either really, really good this year or not very good at all.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it? That one doinked over third. It's a foul ball by 3 feet. Fuld has been on base at an incredibly high rate. The last 38 times he's come to the plate, he's reached 23 times. And he nearly got a bloop double in his first at bat here tonight.
That's an amazing statistic you just quoted there, Dick, and that's why it was so easy for Ron Gardenhire to jump Sammy Fuld up to the leadoff spot, give Danny Santana a little mental break.
Picks up high, 1-2. Twins will send a couple of switch hitters and 3 lefties up there against Noesi. The math doesn't look right. Left-handers are hitting nearly 100 points higher against Noesi. Excuse me, left-handers are hitting nearly 100 points lower against Noesi than right-handers. Now, why on earth would that be?
That does seem backwards.
Tap to the right side, easy play for Beckham. 1 down.
Generally speaking, what that says to me is that 2 things. First, he spots his fastball. I'm talking about Noesi. He must spot his fastball better against left-handers than right-handers. As we look at it right here, these numbers that you referred to, Dick, are absolutely backwards. But I think the biggest thing is he's got a pretty good changeup, and that's an effective pitch against left-handers, much more so than it is against right-handers. Right-handers are on the fastball slider. Left-handers not so much the fastball changeup combination.
Here's Brian Dozier. Dozier goes after and misses a high fastball. First part we've said a lot. There haven't been too many times we've said that he's missed that high fastball. 1 strike. Bunted in the air, foul, 2 strikes. Dozier trying to bunt in front of third baseman Connor Gillespie.
You look at the modified shift. The only guy shifted here is a shortstop, Ramirez, way over in the hole for Brian. And I have to confess, I don't understand why, if they're going to play the shortstop that far over, why the second baseman isn't over behind second base.
That's right at him.
They knew exactly what play.
Perfectly. 2 down. Let's check out the White Sox. Northland Ford defense. Been an issue for the White Sox, particularly in the outfield. Alejandro De Aza is in left. Adam Eaton very good in center field. Viciedo gets right field. Gillespie, Ramirez, Beckham, Abreu, the infielders, and Tyler Flowers behind the plate. 2 down, and Trevor Plouffe the batter. Ball 1.
So interesting the way they play those shifts, and we see it again here. The shortstop playing Trevor Plouffe quite a ways to pull. Second baseman only slightly, but pretty much straight up. They've got all kinds of technology that shows them, the White Sox, where Twins hitters hit the ball. Not only generally speaking against everybody, but against the White Sox and against their pitchers, and they will move accordingly. Brian Dozier, the hitter before, doesn't hit a lot of ground balls up the middle, evidently, against White Sox pitching. So they had him play perfectly.
Fouled back by Plouffe, 1 and 2. It's gotten that detailed, hasn't it?
Yes.
What they do against everybody, what they do against your guys. 1 and 2.
And the third piece of that is how are we going to pitch them? And that has a lot to do with it too.
High and tight, 2 and 2. And now a full count with Willingham on deck. Twins kind of bunched things together against Noesi when he faced them in late June here. Got a no decision. Really had only one rough inning against the Twins. Full count. And Plouffe pops it back and out of play. Noesi was with the Yankees. He was with the Mariners. Property of the Rangers for a while, claimed on waivers by the White Sox. Another 3-2 to Trevor Plouffe. And another one fouled to almost the same spot.
Just because it was almost the same pitch. High, up and away fastball. Borderline strike. May have both of those foul balls by Trevor came on pitches that looked like they might be ball 4. But close enough to swing it with 2 strikes.
Breaking ball clipped the corner. Plouffe knew it. And it's a 1-2-3 first for the Chicago starting pitcher.
As Chicago comes to the plate at the top of the second inning. Pitcher Kyle Gibson missed his last start with a sore back, but played catch today and said he is definitely improving.
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling a lot better. It's night and day to where it was a couple days ago. So I'm getting closer. Hopefully I won't have to miss another scheduled day. So we'll see how it goes for the next couple days.
The plan now is for Gibson to throw his bullpen session on Saturday and then hopefully make a start on Tuesday in Kansas City. Dick and Roy, that leaves an opening for the Twins for Saturday's starter, which we should find out tomorrow.
Thank you, Marnie. Gibson, hard ground ball. Nice backhand play by Parmalee, and he'll flip to Hughes to retire Dunn on a sharply hit ball, one down.
Very nice play by Chris Parmalee. And one thing I've been very impressed with this young man, whether he's playing first base, as we watch him get a nice jump, move to his left, backhand that ball, nice soft hands. And I've been very impressed with the confidence with which he plays defense, either at first base or right field. It just looks like he's very sure of his actions out there. Whatever play comes his way, it looks like he feels like he knows what he's doing.
One down, that'll bring up Diane Viciedo. When the Twins swept the White Sox here in a 4-game series, they had the good fortune of facing the White Sox 4 times without facing Chris Sale. That won't be the case in this 4-game series. Whoever pitches for the Twins Saturday, his mound opponent will be Chris Sale. In fact, in this span of games where the Twins have the White Sox 7 times in 10 days, the Twins are most likely going to get Sale twice during the 2 series, the 4-game series here and then next weekend in Chicago. 2 strikes to Viciedo. That was the 17th pitch for Hughes, just the 4th non-strike. He's throwing it over, and they are swinging at it. And now a 2-2 count.
Phil not happy with that pitch. I think great pitch selection there after throwing 3 fastballs, getting to a 1-2 count with hard stuff, and then wanted to throw that breaking ball that both Jack Morris and I have talked about. We believe that being a very important pitch for him to throw, and he just overthrew it. I think he felt like he had him set up and didn't throw it where he wanted to.
Well, back. Still 2-2.
I'd actually like to see Phil Hughes throw that breaking ball early and count. Start guys off with it every once in a while just to plant it in their minds.
And a wicked one-hopper to Parmalee, who scoops up another hot ground ball, 2 down. That'll bring up Gillespie. Group outings at Target Field are a great way to have fun with your church, school, co-workers, and more. Groups of 25 or more qualify for special ticket discounts and can reserve certain seats without a deposit. Organize your group outing at Target Field. You can find out more at twinsbaseball.com/groups or call 800-33-TWINS and schedule your group night at a Twins game. Here's Gillespie. Gillespie's been swinging the bat really well. Some concerns about his range at third base. They're hitting well over 300. One strike. And to right field, and that will drop in front of Arcia for the first Chicago hit. First hit for either team.
Ball got in on him there. Phil jammed him, but it was up high enough in the strike zone. Gillespie able to muscle it over Dozier's head and in front of Oswaldo Arcia.
And now Gordon Beckham, who has really struggled at the plate as of late. Playing a Gold Glove caliber defense, but man, the hits have been hard to come by for Beckham. Swing and a miss. 16 hits in his last 128 at bats over the last 34 games. and hitless in his last 14.
And especially against right-handed pitching, hitting only a .197 against right-handers. Swinging okay against left-handers, but he's really, really struggling against right-handers.
1 strike, and now 2. Gillespie at first with 2 down. Very high. First 100 games this year, the Twins and White Sox faced each other 7 times. Now in the next 10 games, they'll face each other 7 times. Very high again. Two and 2 to Beckham. We're taking some swings in the cage today. Another step forward in his recovery. And another foul back. McEwing, the third base coach. White Sox are actually playing this series, at least the start of it, a couple of coaches short. Cooper's been dealing with vertigo. He's not here in Minnesota yet. Missing low. Now it's 3 and 2. Gillespie will get an early start from first. Mark Parent also not here for the White Sox. Full count. Gillespie goes, and the pitch fouled just beneath. Nice catch without a glove. Man, right in front of us. Two-handed it. Mark Parent has a family of reason for being excused. Another 3-2. Gordon Beckham, and the ball flipped foul. So if nothing else, Beckham is really battling Hughes, forcing him to throw a lot of pitches.
Very good battle by Beckham right here, especially since he has not been swinging the bat well and has not had good luck against Phil Hughes in his history. He's putting up a pretty good fight here. Phil can go away with a fastball here.
And it was up, and it's fouled to the screen again. Beckham struggling, and Hughes throwing right-handed. That's not a good combo. This is the 10th pitch of this at-bat. Blasted to center. Santana backing over, makes the catch. Hit very hard. A scoreless top of the second. You're watching the Twins and White Sox, brought to you by the all-new Chrysler 200. fourth fan photo for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. Josh Willingham will lead off the second for the Twins. He'll be followed by Oswaldo Arcia and Kurt Suzuki. Twins took 2 out of 3 from the Indians earlier this week. Willingham with a big late home run to secure their first win, his 9th of the year. Indians took off after the game yesterday. They're down in Kansas City to play a 4-game series this weekend. High and deep to right. Viciedo back and on the edge of the track makes the catch. See Josh hit too many long flies in that direction. 1 down.
I noticed a couple of games ago, before Josh hit the big home run, he was hitting the ball a little bit more to right field. You see him wait on that ball, let it get back over the plate. Now, he didn't get the result that he wanted, but he beat the shift the other day against Tampa Bay, and he hit a ball hard to center field and right center. And I thought at the time, as I was watching those games, that's what gets a guy closer to normal, is when he's waiting on the ball, seeing it a little bit longer. I really thought, as Arcia takes ball 1, I really thought that he was gonna get closer with that approach, and then sure enough, after hitting the 1 ball real hard to center field, then he jumped up and went in the seats to win a game, win that game in the 8th inning, a huge home run. But that's what happens with guys, in my opinion, when home run hitters get in slumps, and you can see it with Josh. He was spinning open really early. Looked like he was trying to hit everything straight away left field. And when he got some hits and some hard hit balls to center and right field, all of a sudden looked like he was seeing it better and swinging better.
Big rip by Arcia and a miss on the 2-0 pitch. Arcia with a home run yesterday. Took the Twins lead from 2-1 to 3-1. Two and 2. And up high, 3 and 2.
You see where the White Sox are trying to pitch Arcia with fastballs up in the strike zone. He's going to have trouble with that pitch until he gets over his little hand hits that he's got. They try to throw him up there. Yep, up there.
Well, something happened yesterday because he hit a high fastball for a home run to right. And they worked very hard with him starting his hands lower. But you can, old habits are hard to break, right?
He's got so much talent that he is going to catch up to one of those periodically. He's got talent and strength to hit any pitch out of the ballpark. It's a consistency.
This one hit on a line to right and caught by Viciedo. 2 down. One of the reasons Twins fans are fond of Kurt Suzuki, he has played his best, hit his best against the Chicago White Sox.
Well, he really has killed the Sox, and that's always good news for all of us Twins fans. But he has just done an incredible job offensively this year. Driven in so many big runs and had so many good, tough at-bats in big situations. Very, very deserving all-star. Has been as good a catcher, all-around catcher, as there's been in the American League this year, in my opinion.
And sent 2 players to the All-Star game, Suzuki and Perkins. The White Sox sent 3, Sale, Ramirez, and Abreu. Strike 1. Noesi went from the Yankees to the Mariners, and within the trade, a lesson for all of us who follow baseball closely. That was considered to be the Jesus Montero for Michael Pineda trade, and Noesi's name was hardly mentioned. Chopper to third. Gillespie has it. One of the principals in that trade. Noesi's probably had more playing time than anybody. He's got another 1, 2, 3 second inning.
By Northland Ford. Visit northlandford.com and your local Northland Ford dealers today. And by Grand Casino. The best stories start here.
The old Metrodome site, now a construction site. Up until recently it looked like a demolition site, and that's exactly what the White Sox wanted to do to it all those years, blow it up. They did not have very many fond memories there, although they did clinch a division championship in the Metrodome in 1993, I believe. Start of the third, no score, and strike one from Phil Hughes to Alejandro De Aza.
As excited as I am about the new Viking Stadium, that's hard for me to look at with the memories that we've got. All the 87 fun that we had.
Another off-speed pitch tickling the outside corner, 0-2.
There's those early curveballs. I like that a lot. That'll get guys off the fastball speed.
Again, this year, De Aza doing a good job hitting against Twins pitching. Even when he was struggling, he hit well against the Twins, and right now he's not struggling so much. The average just 235, but that's quite a bit better than it was a month ago. 3 home runs, 3 of his 5 against the Twins this year. That's kind of the way it's been. He's always hit well against the Twins. 9 career home runs against the Twins. Down and away, 2-2. Foul to the screen. De Aza, Flowers, and Eaton in the Chicago third inning. Hughes is 3-3 in his last 6 starts, but in 5 of those 6 starts, he's given up 5 or more earned runs. Twins have actually hit their way into a couple of wins for him when he gave up 5 earned runs, including in his last start. Excuse me, 2 starts ago against Colorado. Gave up 5 earned runs in 5 innings, but the Twins gave him 6 runs with which to work. Another 2-2. And the pitch count for Hughes is climbing with Beckham's at bat at the end of the second inning and this opening at bat in the third. This will be the 40th pitch. And Hughes has recorded just 6 outs. 1 strikeout so far.
And the pitch count rising, as you suggest, Dick, is so much different with Phil Hughes than it is against with most pitchers. Most pitchers, when the pitch count is up early, it's because they can't find the strike zone and they're throwing the ball all over the place. And Phil just keeps coming at that strike zone with different pitches, and the White Sox are fouling him back. He has not been able to put guys away yet early in counts.
Breaking ball, got it. Look at this. That's impressive. Bat toss all the way beyond Darryl Boston in the first base coach's box.
Yeah, that rivals Arcia's the other day.
Second strikeout for Hughes.
Good breaking ball. Great speed. Great location.
Right before that, Suzuki went out to talk to Hughes, and whether it was the pitcher's idea or the catcher's idea, it doesn't matter. It was a good idea. And now Tyler Flowers. Belt high strike.
And believe me, when he threw about 5 curveballs there to Diaza, and believe me, the other hitters on the White Sox team are looking at there, watching, they're paying attention, and that just watching that will get him off the fastball a little bit.
And now Flowers takes one, swings through another, and it's 0-2. One and two. Flowers kind of teased the White Sox in April by being almost their best hitter this side of Abreu. He might have been their best hitter in April. Hit the ball very well, but then really went downhill after that. Check swing. Did he go? Strike. There's a tag. 2 down. And that'll bring up Adam Eaton. Today's Cold Hard Fact brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. So far, Paul Konerko has been relegated to pinch hitting duty against the Twins this year. You can see most home runs all time against the Twins. Konerko in his last year, hoping that Twins fans are hoping that he doesn't add to that total at any time this year.
Well, he's been a great player, great hitter throughout his career. Another one of those guys that had the knack for getting huge hits and huge home runs in big situations.
Ball now a strike, and even as a pinch hitter he's doing it to the Twins. 4 pinch hitting appearances and he's got 3 hits. A couple of them against Glenn Perkins. 1-1 to Eaton, and that's chipped foul. 1-2. Eaton with a bouncer to second his first time up. Eaton playing with, through, whatever you prefer, broken middle finger in his right hand. Broke the finger in a head first slide. And he's had to change his grip and his bat a little bit to try to relieve some of the pain and pressure.
Yeah, that would be very tough on a left-hand hitter. That right hand, the bottom hand, the pull through side, and that would be right hand much more important than the left for left-hand hitters.
For some players, their legs are the most important part. Boy, for a hitter, any hitter, your hands, that's your contact point with your tool, you know, what you're using up there.
That's absolutely right. And hitting is all about knowing where the big end of the bat is and being able to get the big end of the bat into the strike zone early and into the hitting zone early and and keep it on plane with the ball coming in, and you do that with your hands. And it's tough when you've got hand injuries. It's very, very difficult to hit.
2-2, another 2-strike foul for the White Sox against Hughes. And another one.
And a spectacular one-handed leaping grab by the fan there over the Twins dugout in the second. Yeah.
And documented on an iPhone.
Absolutely. Watch this play. This is terrific. Nothing to it.
Didn't spill a drop. Another 2-2 to Eaton. And that's a fair ball. Squibbed right over the line. Fold getting rid of it quickly. The throw offline. Fold knew that Eaton would try for 2. And broken finger or not, Eaton goes in head first and wincing a little bit. He's not feeling well.
Well, tough luck for Hughes here. Just barely fair. Got in on him, jammed him. Eaton just flaring the ball on the ground down the left field line. Sam Fold actually gets over there very, very quickly. Does a really nice job of getting the ball early, but couldn't throw the ball on line, or they might have had him.
And now Alexei Ramirez went down swinging his first time up. Contact with the base with his left hand, as the right hand's got a broken digit.
He could have banged that finger on the ground. That right hand hit the ground pretty hard. When you have a broken bone like that, and I've played with broken and dislocated finger, and when you're playing it, any kind of vibration just kind of goes all the way through you. It can be pretty benign looking, the activity, just as simple as a slide where you bang your hand on the ground. I tell you, if you've got a broken bone in that somewhere in that hand, you're going to feel it.
That's to protect the injured finger. 1 strike to Ramirez. Up the middle and a base hit. Eaton around third, and Santana's throw is cut off by Plouffe and nearly thrown away. Parmalee with a good save. A couple of 2-out hits, and the White Sox get the first run of the game.
High fastball, kind of high middle, and Alexei Ramirez doesn't miss those an awful lot. He's up in the box, he's up on the plate, he wants to hit the fastball all the time. He's up there looking fastball. He got one there and was right on it. He is one guy that I would throw breaking ball. I'd show him fastballs, and I'd throw him a lot of breaking balls. He is forever on the fastball speed.
And now with Abreu at the plate and a man aboard. He was trying to wrap up this third inning. Driven foul down the right side, 1 strike. Our Soup.com trivia question: who was the White Sox player who was the last White Sox player to lead the American League in home runs?
Has anyone done it since Albert Bell? I think Albert Bell did.
Tapped foul. Was it with the White Sox? Bell had the 50-50 season, 50 home runs, 50 doubles.
I don't remember if that was with White Sox or not, but I know he hit a bunch of home runs for the Sox, 40, at least 40 something. I'm pretty sure.
Frank Thomas might have been.
Frank Thomas
going into the Hall of Fame on Sunday. 2 strikes, and that's not been the problem for Hughes. Getting 2 strikes on the batters, it's getting them out and getting them out quickly. Nice block by Suzuki, keeping Ramirez at first. Look up, and here's Hughes almost at 60 pitches. He's given up just 3 hits and 1 run. Hasn't been behind. in counts. Just a lot of 2-strike fouls.
And a lot of swings and misses and foul balls early in counts to get to 2 strikes too. The White Sox are not putting the ball in play all that often before 2 strikes either. So it's a combination of things that's getting him to a high pitch count, but it certainly is not because he's not throwing it in the strike zone.
Foul back.
Ray, one of those guys, as you watch him, like Miguel Cabrera, and I know that's a pretty big comparison, but the comparison I'll make in terms of strength and also his willingness to let the ball get up on the plate and hit the ball to right center makes him less vulnerable to breaking balls. You can throw the ball by him as you can Cabrera. You can get in on him, but you have to be perfect with it.
There's a breaking ball and a good one.
Yep. And there's one example of time when he sold out to the fastball and wasn't able to wait back on the curve.
A couple of 2-out hits in the first run of the game going to the White Sox. Off concessions and merchandise here at Target Field. 2014 season tickets remain available for the balance of the season, and you can call 833-TWINS or visit twinsbaseball.com. Find out how you can join the Twins season ticket family. Take advantage of this and other perks all season ticket holders qualify for here at the ballpark. Chris Parmelee starts the Twins third. The first pitch skied down the left field line. Piazza, one away. And that will bring up Eduardo Escobar. Escobar came to the Twins from the White Sox in the Francisco Liriano trade a couple of years ago. Liriano, by the way, yesterday just picked up his second win of the year. And Escobar now has been asked to, and according to the former shortstop for both the Twins and the Yankees and the White Sox and the Rangers, Roy Smalley, he's done a pretty good job at short.
He absolutely has, and a good job at the plate too. 2 down now.
And that'll bring up Danny Santana, who got moved out of the leadoff spot and seemed to respond well to the ninth spot.
Well, a young man that has only played a handful of games at the AAA level gets called up and ignites the Twins earlier this season, was hitting very, very well. Got hurt, missed 17 games, had to do a little rehab assignment. Not surprising that maybe it would take him a little while to get the stroke back, not only physically but mentally. Not putting too much pressure on himself, not feeling like he had to be the igniter. Oftentimes happens, a manager will move a guy, and not just a leadoff hitter, but a guy hitting third or fifth in the lineup, not swinging well. Might move him down a little bit for a little while. And Santana, with the pressure off, did what he does from the ninth spot yesterday.
Off the plate, 1-1.
And you know, in the American League, it really doesn't matter now. He's kind of like a second leadoff hitter now, and it's a good spot for a second igniter, a speed guy.
You don't want him doing this too often. A pop up to deep short. Ramirez will give way to De Aza. And a quick 1-2-3 third inning and a perfect first trip through the Twins batting order for Hector Noesi. Experience the rugged shoreline of Lake Superior and the historic Split Rock Lighthouse. Visit exploreminnesota.com. Discover a world that's only in Minnesota. Post your experiences to #OnlyInMN. Shipwrecks from the mighty 1905 November storm prompted the lighthouse's construction. I've gone by there a number of times. You ever been up there to the North Shore, Roy?
You know, I haven't. I've been up to Duluth. I haven't been up there to spend any time, and it's still on my list of things I want to do.
1-0 to Adam Dunn. How about kayaking? Have you ever done that?
Never been in a kayak. I've done whitewater rafting. But
you have? What about canoeing?
Canoeing I have.
Okay. 1-1 to Adam Dunn. It'll be Viciedo and Gillespie following here in the fourth. Both pitchers completing 3 innings. The difference is Noesi's done it about half the pitches of Phil Hughes. 1-2. Off of Hughes and to the baseline. Suzuki throws but not in time, and that's going to sting at the very least. Took it right off, it appeared, the shin.
Yeah, that's like a batter fouling the ball down on his shin like that. That's there's a lot of velocity right in the right shin. That hurts.
Halfway up the ankle on the outside of the leg. Trying to wait for the pain to subside, I think, and perhaps take the mound. Now it was his right leg, I believe, right, which is his push-off leg.
Right.
Suzuki came out of the catcher's box, still tried to make a play on Dunn.
Well, what you'll see here is when he hits the ball off his leg, Dunn thinks he got a hit. He's kind of trotting, and Suzuki sees that, tries to get him, and then Dunn picked it up a little bit, just enough to get himself a hit.
Rick Anderson, right before we went to the replay, you saw him motion to the bullpen. Phil Hughes is going to come out, and there'll be x-rays and all that, and we'll hope that everything is okay. But Hughes has to leave the game in the 4th inning, and Samuel DeDuno will have enough time as he deems necessary to get warmed up on the game mound. And we'll take a break here with Phil Hughes having to leave the game because of injury. Pitching 5 innings in somewhat of an emergency situation yesterday. 5 good innings with just 1 run allowed, and he picked up the win.
He was terrific yesterday, and in exactly an emergency situation that Kyle Gibson couldn't go. And of course, the whole bullpen has been great, but this year, Anthony Swarzak doing a phenomenal job.
Samuel DeDuno is the long man normally for the Twins. The Twins really didn't want to have to use him here, but really the Twins were pretty convinced going back to got to figure out my days here, Tuesday night's game, when Matt Guerrero really struggled. They really didn't want to go to Swarzak because they were going to have him start the next day. Everything was stretched thin as early as Tuesday night. Well, then Swarzak does his job, and the Twins weave together the final 4 innings. They pretty much have an open start right now on Saturday because Gibson was unable to have a bullpen session today to prep him for a Saturday start. And now Hughes, who's been one of the anchors of the rotation, has to leave in the 4th inning with a leg injury. So going back to opening day when the Twins had Velasco, Correa, Gibson, Hughes, and Pelfrey. Those were the 5 guys. Right now, 2 of those guys are on the disabled list. One has had to start skip because of a bad back, and Hughes has to leave here in the 4th inning. So of the original starting 5, only Correa is intact.
Still standing.
Yeah.
And the other thing about this is with Swarzak going 5 innings yesterday, DeDuno is good. They're going to want him to go at least 3 if he can. Now all of a sudden the rest of this series you're struggling for long, man. If those starters, whoever the starters are left standing, have got to pitch into the 6th inning the rest of this series.
Viciedo will hit. Dunn with a leadoff single. Harmely's shadow is holding him on at first base. And a first pitch strike. Well, this is a bit of a challenge for anybody. The Twins have seen DeDuno do well in this role when he's had a full inning to warm up and prep himself to come into a ball game. And one moment you're sitting on the bench out there in the bullpen, and the next moment you're on the game mound. A high fastball and a swing and a miss. 0-2. Mentioned Matt Guerrero struggling the other night. He was designated for assignment yesterday morning. And today, Twins trading Kendrys Morales. Well, the Twins will take all of those they can get. A 3-pitch out, 1 down. And now Connor Gillespie.
Nasty curveball there by Sam DiNuno, and when you watch him pitch, I don't think it matters. Here's a really good hard breaking ball, but I don't think it matters to.
Did you see where the 3 pitches were? The first one was in the strike zone. The other one was way up and in. The other one way down and away. And it's a strikeout.
It's all in a line. That should strike somebody out. But what I was going to say is because of where those pitches are, I mean, that's the way Sam DiNuno pitches. The ball moves all over the place. And I don't think it matters whether to Sammy, whether he's got that bullpen session for an inning before he comes in or whether he comes in now on the mound and warms up until he's ready. This ball is going to move everywhere. This gives him a chance not to think about anything. Just throw that good stuff up there and let it run around the strike zone.
Outside 2-0, and because of all the movement you talk about, he doesn't find himself susceptible to a lot of 2-strike foul balls.
Right, you're not going to see a guy with Samuel DiNuno. You're not going to see a hitter up there hitting 8 foul balls in a row and with 2 strikes. Something's going to happen right away. He's going to walk to first, or he's going to hit it, or he's going to swing and miss it.
2-0. Drilled to right. Arcia over. Gets the first hop. Dunn will be anchored at second base. Good play by Arcia on the base hit by Gillespie. Gillespie continues to hit. He's got a pair of singles.
Well, Gillespie can hit a right-hander. There's no question about that. He got something kind of right in the middle of the plate that moving in on him, and Arcia with a nice play to hold Dunn at second base.
Gordon Beckham had a long 10-pitch battle with Phil Hughes before lining out to center. Twins were promising a roster move, or strongly hinting at one, before Saturday's game here with the White Sox. And that move might be moved up 24 hours depending on how bad the leg injury is to Phil Hughes.
Well, we're hoping it's not bad at all. It didn't look good. When that ball struck his shin, his immediate reaction was like it was pretty painful right away.
Breaking ball and a high fly to left. Fold with the catch, 2 down. And that'll bring up Diaza. Diaza struck out his first time up. He's had a long battle with Hughes. Hughes finally got him. White Sox and Twins are battling it out for 4th place. Cleveland and Kansas City battling it out for 2nd place. Foul. Tigers all by themselves. And they picked up Joaquin Soria from the Texas Rangers to bolster their bullpen. And the public spin on this is that Joe Nathan will continue to close games. But Soria expected to do some closing for the Tigers. Prospects going to the Rangers.
I think it's a nice pickup for Detroit to try to help their bullpen finish off the division this year and get them through postseason as well. Their bullpen has been very susceptible to giving up. late inning runs and losses.
Nice block by Suzuki. If you can keep the runners at first and second here through this at bat, might save yourself a run or two.
Well, it's going to have to bounce away the ways for Dunn to get to third.
Well, but beyond that, if Diaz gets a base hit here, just keeping Dunn at second might keep a run from
Absolutely.
scoring. 1-2. And there's the base hit. Dunn will be held at third. And so that block by Suzuki for the time being has kept it a 1-0 ball game. Diaz with a sharp single to center, and that'll bring up Tyler Flowers. Three singles in the inning. All three have been hit well. And Flowers will come up with the bases full.
Fastball right in the middle of the plate. They did not have the patented DeDuno movement on it. Stayed right there. A flat plane in the middle of the strike zone. Diaz could hit that pitch against the right-hander. There's no question. You see it an awful lot. He threw that breaking ball in the dirt, and Suzuki makes a nice block. And all of a sudden it affects the pitcher a little bit. You want to throw that pitch again and throw a wild pitch, and comes right down the middle of the fastball and it gets hit.
Here's Flowers. And a first pitch strike. Flowers was gone on 3 pitches, a check swing, striking out in the third inning. White Sox with the first run and the first 6 hits of the game. 2 of them here in the fourth against DeDuno. Breaking ball low. Lacy still waiting to take the mound. He's had a perfect first 3 innings. Another breaking ball low. Flowers came into this game 9 for his last 15. Again, Hughes struck him out in the third. 2-1. Outside, 3-1. Flowers, the number 9 batter, will be followed by Eaton.
A couple of pretty good takes there. 2 pitches in a row by Flowers. Good curveball by DeDuno just underneath the strike zone. A lot of hitters would swing at that, especially 9th place hitters. A lot of hitters would have swung at that last fastball.
Full count with 2 down and the bases full. Missed inside, a bases loaded walk. The number 9 batter never offered it a pitch. 2-0 Chicago, and now Eaton with the bases reloaded. Eaton doubled over the third base bag and scored in the third inning. His double came with 2 outs. So did Ramirez's single up the middle for the first Chicago run. Breaking ball over, strike 1. I say breaking ball, but it was clocked at 91.
Yeah, that's that's the fastball that moved right to left.
From up here, I could see it cutting in on the left-handed batter. 0-2, and another nice block by Suzuki.
And you can see what pitching inside does, especially to a guy that's got a broken finger on his bottom hand here. He's got to be concerned about getting the bat head out in front, about getting started early enough to get the bat head moving with his hand. And that's why he's been slashing the ball to the left. He's just late on those.
Up the middle, it'll bleed through for a hit. Gillespie scores. Diaz will score, and it's 4-0. on an 0-2 pitch.
Yeah, it looked like an 0-2 breaking ball right in the middle of the plate, and he has so many places to go there. And chasing the ball in the dirt, looks like he's really having trouble in balls inside. He couldn't handle it with Hughes. Hughes beat him even on the double, and then he throws a little hanging breaking ball right in the middle. And that is really doing a guy with a broken finger at the plate a big favor.
Well, it's been an ugly fourth inning with Hughes having to leave, taking a smash against his ankle. Now DeDuno's given up 3 singles and a walk. Trip to the mound by Rick Anderson. Still 2 outs, and the White Sox remarkably getting 5 2-out hits already in the game. We're just in the 4th inning. And a big 2-run single, driving in the 3rd and 4th runs. And now Alexei Ramirez, his 2-out single drove in the 1st run last inning. Ball 1. Nub. Dozier will have to hurry, and he retires Ramirez. The inning ends, but the White Sox add 3 more with the Twins making a pitching change. Stay tuned for this important message from Mesh Betcher and Spence. North is presented by the all-new Chrysler 200 with available all-wheel drive, America's import. Familiar territory. Far too often again this year, the Twins have found themselves down 3-4 runs early in the game. Samuel DeDuno out of the Twins' pen, giving it 3 runs. Paul Molitor is here tonight. He won't be there tomorrow through the rest of the weekend. He's heading to Cooperstown for the induction ceremonies. Sam Perlazzo showed up at the clubhouse today, and he'll be taking over first base coaching duties over the weekend. Strike 1 to Sam Fuld.
I have a great Sam Perlazzo story.
Is that the Carew story?
It is.
Okay. We'll when he's in the coach's box tomorrow, we'll be glad to share that story. To the right side, Abreu waits, gets a nice pickup on the second hop. And Noesi has retired the first 10 batters. And that'll bring up Brian Dozier. Dozier actually hit the ball hard. A one-hop smash right at Gordon Beckham in the first inning.
And I love seeing that 2-strike going the other way type of swing. Brian has proven to himself and everybody else that he can get a ball from the middle in, especially up high. And drive that ball over the fence or against the fence in left field. The next step for Brian will be to learn how to get to be 270, 280, 290 hitter. I think he has that ability, but he's going to have to pick his spots to try to pull the ball and then use the whole field the rest of the at bat.
1-1. With a home run against Noesi. Swinging a foul. 1-2.
Now is where he needs to remember that hard hit ball to second base with 2 strikes. Wait a little bit longer.
Big fly ball to short center field. Eaton coming in. 2 down. And that'll bring up Trevor Plouffe. Join the Minnesota Lynx for the Dads and Daughters ticket offer presented by Fox Sports North on Tuesday, August 12th versus the Los Angeles Sparks. For just $33, fans receive 2 tickets to the game and a drawstring backpack. For details, visit foxsportsnorth.com. Click on the More tab for details. 2 down, and now Plouffe called out on strikes as he locked him up on a breaking ball. Kind of like that one.
That was the one.
1 strike. Another fly ball to short center. Eaton coming in, and that ball is going to drop for a hit. In no man's land between Eaton, De Aza, and Ramirez, and the Twins get their first hit, albeit a bloop single.
Little slider there to Trevor that he pops up. Nobody can get to it. No man's land's the right term there, Dick. But it did look to me like Eaton saw the ball real well off the bat.
See if the Twins can put together a 2-out rally of their own. Willingham with a fly ball to right his first time up. Down and away, ball 1. First 7 hits went to the White Sox. Now the Twins have a single. On the outside corner. Indians and Royals are scoreless in the 6th inning at Kauffman Stadium. Foul back, 1-2. Another fantastic catch.
You really have to give Noesi credit. He's done a very, very good job here against Twins hitters, moving his fastball around the strike zone, throwing a bigger, slower curve and a tighter little slider. Throwing the fastball away here, trying to.
Off the plate. 2-2.
He stayed out of the middle of the plate for the most part here early in the game, and throwing it up there at 92, 93. When you're throwing 93 and you're not in the middle of the plate, you got a chance. Mitch pitches in with that 93-mile-an-hour fastball, 2 different speeds of curveball, breaking ball. You've got a chance.
And a breaking ball froze Willingham, stranding Plouffe at first. We played 4 innings, and the White Sox have a 4-0 lead.
fifth inning in the Minnesota Lottery winner's circle with $100 worth of scratch-off tickets for Miss Lucy Johnson from Minneapolis, who is after Joe Mauer's autograph, according to her sign, but overall is a big Twins fan. You got the hat, the jersey, the earrings. Lucy, you were telling me you have all kinds of Twins stuff in your house.
Yes, I do.
What do you have?
I have Homer hankies. I have earrings. I have bobbleheads. I have Ron Gardenhire's autograph. Yeah. And I have
you're wearing the socks?
Yes.
You got cups and glasses at home?
Yes, I do.
Her whole house, Dick and Roy, is pretty much a shrine to the Twins, she was telling me. She came for Joe Mauer's autograph. She got Marnie Gellner's autograph, and I'll tell you, the disappointment on this poor gal's face. But she's going to have to take it tonight. Hey, Lucy, congratulations.
I think that's a better trade.
Well, thank you very much, and congratulations on being circled and for being a devout Twins fan. Here's Jose Abreu with 2 strikes, and Samuel Deduno gives up a drive to right center field, deep to the gap, and midway up off the wall, and Abreu glides into second with a walk-in double.
What I was talking about earlier with this guy, he is so strong and is so willing to let the ball travel a long way on the plate and hit the ball all over the ballpark. That's a beautiful swing right there. Fastball out away from him. He just drives off the scoreboard in right center field.
Now Adam Dunn, who effectively took Phil Hughes out of the game with a smash against his right ankle. It was an infield hit for Dunn, and then Deduno entered in the next at bat, struck out Viciedo. 1-0 to Dunn. You would think that the White Sox, should they be offered anything at all, would be willing to part with Adam Dunn. He's in the last year of his deal. They clearly have gone through a rebuilding phase, of which from the outside it wouldn't appear Dunn is going to be a part of. And I would think there would be a market out there for a contending team for a big left-handed slugger who can still hit the ball over the fence.
There probably is. He can hit the ball over the fence. It's going to come with, you just have to know what you get with Adam Dunn. You're going to get a whole bunch of strikeouts and
that ball hit Dunn and rolled up the third baseline. So there'll be runners now at first and second and nobody out.
Samuel Deduno really having trouble with his command right now. He throws a little slider or cut fastball. Just when we talk about throwing a breaking ball to the back foot of a hitter, that's not, we don't mean it literally.
Dunn took Hughes out with a blow to the right ankle, and he takes one against the left ankle. Here's Viciedo, nobody out. White Sox already up 4-0. Ball one.
Started to say Deduno really struggling with his command. You're seeing the balls that are moving the best, his fastballs that are moving the best, not in the strike zone, and the White Sox are taking those, and the ones that he throws in the strike zone tend to be straight and in the middle. He just has not found real good command yet of either the fastball or the breaking ball.
2-0 to Viciedo. Struck him out on 3 pitches. First man he faced. Now the Twins are not in position to get anything less than several innings pitched from Deduno. really struggling with his control, having hit Dunn after the leadoff double, and now 3-0. 3-1.
Even if Sam were to go the 3 innings at least that they need him to go, that it puts the Twins bullpen in a precarious position for the next couple of days. If he were to make an early exit, then it becomes very, very tenuous out there.
3-2. Wrap toward third. Bloof tags man, gets that guy. Nearly a triple play. Good play by Bloof, who not only tagged the runner, but was alert enough to get the next lead runner, which was Adam Dunn.
Very, very good play by Trevor there. Not a great base running play out there, but allowing him to tag him there so quickly, and they almost got a triple play. A nice turn, but you see Trevor makes a real good decision, come in and make that short hop, no hesitation, go right at Abreu, who doesn't make a good play. He should have turned around and run the other way, not let him get himself get tagged quite so easily, or else run into Trevor as he was trying to tag.
Gillespie 2 singles already in the game with 2 outs and a runner at first. Fouled, 1 strike.
Big double play right there for Diduno.
Yesterday's game was turned around by a great catch by shortstop Eduardo Nunez. The Indians had already scored a run. Were looking to score a couple more on a base hit. Nunez dove to his left behind the second base bag and took a hit and 2 runs batted away from the Indians. And then from that point forward, the Twins scored the next 3 runs to win the game. We'll see if that's what happens here tonight. Already leading 4-0. That was an awfully big at bat. First and second, nobody out, and Diduno had fallen behind Viciedo 3-0. 2 strikes to Gillespie. Doink to right, and Dozier back to make the catch. No damage done with Diduno pitching a scoreless 5th. You're watching the Twins and White Sox, brought to you by the all-new Chrysler 200. Fans of the game, and we've got a lot of them here, a lot of fans here, and those Two young fans enjoying a night at the ballpark. Gorgeous night here to try to fight their way back from a 4-0 deficit. Oswaldo Arcia will lead things off. And outside, ball one. Some encouraging word from the Twins training room. Phil Hughes has a contusion on the outside of his right ankle and is day-to-day. So obviously they've x-rayed it. It's not broken. Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, but at least it's not broken.
I guarantee it hurts, but that is good news.
Second time today that Arcia's had a 2-0 count and gone swinging on the 2-0 pitch, both times missing. Ended up hitting a line drive to right. Viciedo with a trotting catch. A towering fly to right. And Viciedo back and now in. Away. We'll bring up Suzuki. Suzuki with a bouncer to third.
Very, very economical. First two trips through the lineup by Noesi, 51 pitches only. And he's doing it with 3 or 4 different kinds of pitches, throwing them all for strikes and throwing them all in good spots in the strike zone for the most part. He's done a nice job. That's a big number right there. That's an important number. 11 out of 15 first pitch strikes. So important to put the hitter on the defensive by throwing him strike one. You get strike one and everything changes. The hitter becomes less aggressive. He tends to swing at more pitches that you want, the pitcher wants him to swing at.
2-1. Noesi pitched out of the Yankee bullpen in 2011. A couple of starts for them. Most of his work with the Mariners was as a starting pitcher. This one hit to center. Eaton back pedals. 2 down. That'll bring up Chris Parmelee. Check out Target Field like you've never seen it before. Head down to the ballpark on August 8th and 9th for the 2-night Skyline Music Festival. Friday is Indie Night featuring Andrew Bird and 4 other bands. Then Saturday it's Melissa Etheridge and OAR headlining. Go to twinsbaseball.com for ticket details. Great music here at the ballpark this year. The Paul McCartney concert is not this upcoming weekend, but the one after when we are in Chicago. And the Skyline Music Festival. 1 strike to Parmelee. Hit a fly ball to left in the first pitch he saw leading off the 3rd inning. 0-1. 1-1. With the trade of Kendrys Morales and with Joe Mauer still some time away from rejoining the active roster, stand to reason Parmelee would get most of the time at first base. Chris Colabello with an occasional start there, you would think.
I would think that Colabello would play first base against left-handed pitching. As well as Parmelee has hit left-handers, he's likely to be in the lineup somewhere, probably right field, to give Arcia a break against left-handers.
2-2.
Parmelee is ecstatic to be hitting so well against left-handers, so he can get run out there against Chris Sale on Saturday.
Twins will see 2 of the 3 lefties, Chris Sale and John Danks, in this series. They'll miss Jose Quintana, who's pitched awfully well for the White Sox. So in that sense, you do have to face Sale, but you don't have to face the other guy who's been not far behind him over the last month and a half. 3-2. Noesi hasn't walked anybody yet. and flip foul. Three and two to Parmalee, and he walked him. Twins get another base runner with 2 out. There's a 2-out single for the Twins in the 4th, and now Escobar with that.
It's been a little bit of the story of the Twins' offense or lack thereof, when they have struggled offensively. A lot of the hits and bases on balls that come with 2 out. And when you have a team that doesn't hit the ball out of the ballpark an awful lot, get a 2-out base runner, it's difficult to put 1 run, much less a crooked number, up there. You just have to get so many hits in a row. That's not easy to do.
Escobar takes ball 1.
It's kind of the nature of this Twins lineup anyway, that they don't hit the ball out of the ballpark. So even hits early innings, they have to string a lot of them together. They need their guys healthy, like Joe Mauer and Santana. It hurt them when Santana was out. They need everybody healthy, and they need a streak where 5 or 6 guys are swinging the bats well all at once, so you can string some innings together without home runs. These guys can hit some doubles, but it's tough to string them together all at once when guys are either hurt or not swinging the bat, real well.
2-0 to Escobar after the 2-out walk to Parmalee. And a fly ball to left, harmless enough, hit towards Diaz. And that ends it. 5 shutout innings for Hector Noesi, and it's 4-0 Chicago. Chrysler 200 with available all-wheel drive, America's import. Dick Bramer and Roy Smalley, Bert Blyleven with the ultimate excused baseball absence. He's in Cooperstown for the induction ceremony. And former White Sox slugger Frank Thomas among the 6 living enshrinees. Beckham with a drive to left. And that's got full turned around, and it's a hit off the wall in left field. And Beckham leads off the 6th with a double. The White Sox got a leadoff double in the 5th, but did not score.
Well, here's another fastball right in the middle of the plate. And, you know, when a guy's struggling at the plate, it's really, really important to punish him and not give him. You don't want to throw the ball in the middle of the plate to anybody, but especially a guy that's struggling like that. You know, he's not swinging the bat well, and so often, if you just throw the ball somewhere else other than middle, he's going to swing, get himself out. Paduno just not any command of the fastball tonight so far around the strike zone.
So a hook foul with De Aza swinging at the first pitch. De Aza with a single. A line drive with 2 outs in the 4th that filled the bases, and then Flowers drew a bases loaded walk. Eaton a 2-run single, and the White Sox broke the game open for the time being, 4-0. That all came in the 4th inning. And Paduno will throw to third, and he throws it by Plouffe into the left field corner. A run will score. Beckham was a sure out at third with an accurate throw, but it was nowhere near Plouffe or the third base bag. It'll be a 2-base throwing error for Paduno.
Makes a pretty good play to knock it down and find it, and then rushed his throw to Plouffe. You see here he has a terrible grip of the ball and just threw a palm ball down the left field line. He picked it up with his whole hand and just never had a throwing grip on the ball at all. It's like he threw a changeup.
And now Tyler Flowers with nobody out and the lead growing. Fouled away, 1 strike. Flowers drew a bases loaded walk off to Duno. Made the score 2-0. That's a breaking ball over the inside corner. And Flowers down on strikes, 1 away.
That's the breaking ball he didn't swing at with the bases loaded.
So look at our AT&T fan photo of the game. You can tweet your photo to #NorthFanPhoto. A chance to be shown in a game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. That might even be somebody's Christmas card. That's a nice picture. 1 down. Here's Adam Eaton. He takes ball 1. Eaton with a couple of hits. Double over the third base bag and a sharp single to center that drove in 2. One and 1. Two and 1. How's at second after reaching on the throwing error by Duduno. Third hit for Eaton. And the runner at third will be held. Seen Full do that. He just tries to get rid of it as quickly as he can and getting it back to the infield. First and third, 1 down.
They've been working with him a little bit about that. They prefer a little less quickness, a little more accuracy sometimes. He's missed a couple of cutoff men, which manager Ron Gardenhire is not in the habit of liking to see from his ball clubs. Sam's a really, really good outfielder.
And now with 1 down and runners on the corners, Alexei Ramirez will bat. Duno's given up 7 hits in 2 1/3 innings of work. Excuse me, in 2 innings of work. No, 2 1/3. One strike. So he's gotten 7 outs, but he's given up 7 hits. He's hit a batter, he's walked a batter, he's committed an error. It has not been a smooth night for Samuel Duno. 1-1. Breaking ball left up 2-1. Blocked by Suzuki. But now 3-1.
When was the last time you saw a ball go to the screen with Suzuki catching? He's been amazing back there.
3-1 to Alexei Ramirez. Runner at first goes, and the pitch wrapped to third, and Plouffe will fire home, and they'll get the runner there. White Sox, I don't know, Roy, did they run themselves out of a run possibility there?
Yeah, I don't understand that that play. If they're going to run the guy at second base, then the guy at third, the runner at third doesn't have to go. He doesn't have to be that out. So there goes Eaton. He's got that base easily, and Trevor does the right thing. He's not going to get 2, so he goes home.
A quizzical look by Robin Ventura.
He's got to stay there at third base because they're only going to be able to get 1 out at first base. Or if he doesn't go, they've got runners on second and third and 2 out if that doesn't happen.
Over the inside corner to Abreu. Abreu doubled halfway up the wall in right center field, and then was tagged out by Plouffe and made a nice alert play, getting an unusual double play, keeping the White Sox off the board in the 5th, but now they've scored 1 here in the 6th, an unearned run. Breaking ball tapped down the line, foul. Our CarSoup.com trivia question. I'm going to go with Albert Bell.
Yep. That was wow.
Allen 32 in 1974. Wow.
Well, that just means there were an awful lot of other guys hitting a lot of home runs later on, because I know Frank Thomas hit a bunch, and I know Albert Bell hit a bunch in a couple of seasons.
High fly to center. And Santana ends the inning. A lot of men on the base path. One of them scored. And it's now 5-0. Sports North is presented by Toyota. See where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. By Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for the everyday competitor in all of us. And by McDonald's. Stop in all summer for a cool, refreshing McCafe iced coffee, starting at just $1.59. Duno, a 3 innings pitch, 3 runs, 2 of them earned, a lot of hits. And a 5-0 White Sox lead. Danny Santana will lead off the bottom of the 6th inning. Through this homestand, and maybe even more so on the road trip when the Twins went 5-2 during the break. The most consistent part of their offense in terms of producing runs was right where the Twins are in the batting order now. The bottom of the order with a speed guy rolling it over to the top of the order. Now, in tonight's case, it's Santana, Fold, and Dozier. But I guess that tells you right there why the Twins are where they are when the 9, 1, and 2 guys have been the most consistent offensive force for it.
They really have not gotten anywhere near the run production this year from their 3, 4, 5, 6 guys as we all thought that they would. Part of it has been
popped up near the Chicago dugout and just out of the reach of Gillespie.
Part of it has been Joe Mauer started the season in the most prolonged and most difficult slump of his career, and then a couple of injuries, for Joe, kept him out of the lineup. That always hurts. Your third hitter's not in the lineup every day and not swinging when he is in the lineup, not swinging until right before he got hurt this most recent time, not swinging very well. Josh Willingham has not been the home run hitter that we saw in 2012.
And Santana strikes out to start the 6th.
So it was about run production, and Kendrys Morales, when he was here, got going occasionally, but wasn't the Kendrys Morales that we've seen from a run production standpoint when he was with other ball clubs. So just never, and it gets back to what I was saying before about having some kind of streak where 5 or 6 guys are swinging the bat well all at the same time. And I keep thinking that the Twins are going to run into that at some point in time. Guys have got 5 or 6 guys will get hot, and then this lineup will score a lot of runs. But we have yet to see that except for streaks of 3-4 games.
Now, little snapshots here and there, but now this team has played 100 games. This is game number 101. 2 strikes to Fold. And now a ball.
And there's a reason why Earl Weaver said, give me good starting pitching and guys are going to hit 3-run home runs. That's the way he played against the lineups he wanted. And there's a reason for that. You can't get everybody hitting it all at the same time. But all it takes is full grounds, 1 foul. All it takes is a base hit, an error, and somebody hit a 3-run home run. You can win a game when most of the lineup is slumping. If you have the ability to hit the ball out of the ballpark.
1 and 2 to Fold.
There's a guy right there, Arcia, they thought would take the next step.
Beckham with an easy play. 2 down. Bring up Dozier. Saturday, it's a doubleheader on Fox Sports 1. The Washington Nationals take on the Reds, and the Indians squaring off against the Kansas City Royals. Coverage beginning at 2:30 Central on Fox Sports 1. Streaming live on Fox Sports Go. And then game 3 between the Twins and the White Sox. Chris Sale will pitch against a to-be-named later starter on Fox Sports North beginning at 5:30. 2 down in the 6th, and now Dozier. Twins have 1 hit. It was a little pop fly that landed between Eaton, Piazza, and Ramirez with 2 outs in the 4th. Fox Tracks presented by Jeep. Going to the 8th inning in Kansas City. Still no score between the Indians and the Royals. Corey Kluber took a perfect game into the 7th, but that's no longer alive. 1-1. 1-2.
That's that little slider or cut fastball that Noesi's throwing. He's showing Brian Dozier 2 slow curveballs, and then that one right there, just a change of speed breaking ball. There's nothing like being able to throw a breaking ball or 2 different kinds of breaking balls for strikes to get a guy off a fastball. Hitters want to hit the fastball. When they suspect it's coming, they're pretty good at it. When they just have to react, when they think it could be anything, it makes it a lot harder.
2-2. Well, as you said at the outset, Noesi's been either really good or really bad. And he's been very good.
Yep.
2-2. Nubbed back to the mound. Another 1-2-3 inning for Noesi's. He's had 4 of those already. 5-0 lead with 6 innings of shutout ball. Grand Casino story of the game.
Well, in the 3rd inning, Alexei Ramirez singled in Adam Eaton, who had doubled for the game's first run. It was 1-0. Adam Dunn hit a rocket off of Phil Hughes' shin for a base hit, and he had to leave the game. Sam Dadino would come on, load the bases, and then walk Tyler Flowers, and then give up this base hit to Adam Eaton, who scored 2. Later give up another run. It's now 5-0.
Dunn lines it rather abruptly to Brian Dozier, who was standing in short right field. 1 down.
How about this shift? Perfectly played.
So 1 down. And that'll bring up Viciedo. Duno out there for a 4th inning of work.
I really like all the shifting that's being done now. I like the research and the technology that goes into where guys hit the ball, and the decision by clubs to say, look.
Weak little pop up. Bloof will come into the grass to catch that. 2 down. Come on down, see the Twins game August 15th from Dozier's Deck. Special offer includes a Skyline Deck seat plus a limited edition Brian Dozier camo t-shirt, all for just $35. Portion of the proceeds will benefit Pheasants Forever wildlife habitat conservation efforts. Call 800-33-TWINS. Ask for the special Dozier's Deck ticket offer, or go to twinsbaseball.com/Dozier Deck.
Well, just to finish the thought, I really like the fact that clubs are doing the research. They have the technology. They see where guys hit the ball, and they play the defense accordingly, and they play the odds. You're not going to be right 100% of the time, but that's baseball. You got to play what you think the best chances of being successful are, and that's pervasive throughout the game, whether it's hitting or pitching, and certainly is true about defense. And I really like the fact that clubs are making a decision to do that now.
Here's Gillespie with 1 strike. And a bouncer to the right side. Parmalee will flip to DeDuno, and his best inning so far, his 4th inning of work, but it's still 5-0 Chicago.
Here against the Twins, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Minnesota Twins, LLC.
The Twins have been virtually shut out and down by Hector Noesi. Trevor Plouffe with a little pop fly single, strategically placed in left center field. That's the only Twins hit so far, and he'll lead off the 7th. Breaking ball low, ball 1. Plouffe called out on strikes in the 1st. And a routine 2-hopper to Ramirez. Quickly over to Abreu, 1 down. When you were talking about the shifting, and we may see the White Sox shift Willingham here. Some teams have done that. You hate to say in retrospect because it's such a fairly new phenomenon. They've got Beckham pulled over. But in retrospect, you wonder what took baseball so long to do it. Your job as a defensive team when you're out in the field is to place fielders where the other guys are hitting the ball. And if Willingham isn't going to hit a ground ball to where a second baseman would normally stand, why put him there?
That's a great question, and
your uncle would have been all over this, don't you think?
Oh, we did that a lot anyway, and you know, I think it just took baseball a while to be comfortable with being wrong once in a while. I can speak from my own experience. I used to move around a lot at shortstop based on where guys hit the charts that we saw, and they weren't anywhere nearly as sophisticated as what they have now. But based on the charts, and we'd go over how we're going to pitch everybody and who my pitcher was and what I knew about his stuff. I'd play in the hole where Alexi Ramirez is playing right now against a lot of guys, because I would try to figure out where he had the most chance of hitting the ball, and then I'd play in the middle of that zone rather than just playing right in the middle of shortstop all the time.
And so Willingham drives one to right center field. And Eaton ranges over to make the catch. 2 down.
But you know, there's a funny thing about that too. So that they have to shift way over in the infield, because if he hits the ball on the ground, it's almost always going to be to the left side. He might hit some balls to the opposite field in the air, but and that's why Eaton was able to get to that, because he wasn't shifted way around. They play him Willingham much more straight away in the outfield. But there's just no reason not to move everybody over, because the charts say that he's going to if he hits the ball to the ground, it's going to be to the left side. And if he beats you 1 out of every 15 or 20 times with a rolling ground ball through second base hole that's left, you have to say, okay, fine, we're going to get the other 14, and that's going to be more important.
Now Arce is shifted. Roy's uncle, of course, Gene Mauch, longtime manager of several teams, including the Twins. 1-0 to Arce. He's had a 2-0 count in his first 2 at-bats and has hit 2 balls to right field, and it's 2-0 in this at-bat. In his second inning at-bat, he actually hit a line drive to right. And then in the 5th, a tall fly ball to right, fairly deep right field. You notice any difference with his hands? They're trying to get him to start a little lower.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to start either a lot lower or a lot higher, one way or the other. He's still kind of in between, and he drops his hands a little bit. I think there's a lot of work to be done this offseason. But just to finish the point about defensive positioning, if you play radically and get beat with it, there's a ball hit right into the shift. We'll finish it up later.
3 up, 3 down in the 5th. 5, 1, 2, 3 innings for Noesi. You're watching the Twins and White Sox, brought to you by the all-new Chrysler 200.
And we've got double the action tomorrow on Fox Sports North and Fox Sports North Plus. The Twins and White Sox will start with Twins Live at 6:30 on the main Fox Sports North channel. And then you can catch the Minnesota Lynx coming off a big double overtime victory. That starts at 7 o'clock against San Antonio. Dick and Roy?
Well, thank you, Jamie. Another busy day down here at around the Target Field and Target Center. Good to see Ryan Presley back in a big league uniform. He was with the team all last year, did a good job as a rookie. Last year, decent numbers, and this year did pretty much the same thing, filled the same role down in AAA.
Good to have Ryan Presley back. He of the straight over the top fastball, good velocity, has a couple of nice breaking balls.
Beckham, Deaza, Flowers here in the 8th inning. As this month unfolds and the potential exists for there to be more players traded, Kendrys Morales traded today. Matt Guerrero designated for assignment, 1-1. The potential is there for more movement out of the bullpen for the Twins. They've got some guys that would be attractive, I'm sure, to other teams. Bounced on the ground, of course, to the shortstop Escobar, one away. And with one down in the eighth, let's find out more about Ryan Pressly from Marnie Gelman.
Talking to him in the clubhouse before the game tonight, guys, Pressly said that he was really disappointed to have not made the club out of spring training, but he also said it's a numbers game. I get the business side of it. He said it just motivated him more to work hard in Rochester. And I asked him what was working for him so well in AAA, and he said attacking hitters, attacking the strike zone. He said even if a guy's going to hit it 500 feet, I'm still going to go after him.
I think that the Twins saw enough from Pressly last year to believe that he's a part of the solution here. When this team starts winning again, I think most people are convinced Ryan Pressly is going to be part of the bullpen.
Oh, I think so, and I applaud his decision to go with the Casey Fiend attitude about pitching.
Right.
You know, just go right at the guys and see if they can hit it, especially in the bullpen when you come in. His biggest issue last year, I really believe, was the fact that he would walk guys or fall behind guys and pitch 2-0 and 3-1. But again, with a 92 or 93 mile an hour fastball, a curveball, and a slider, if he's throwing them all for strikes, he's going to get guys most of the time. We're going to look at his over the top curveball right here.
1-2. There are at least 3 relief pitchers now with the Rochester Red Wings who have major league experience and might be up here before the end of the year. One would think by September, when the call-ups can be made with the expanded rosters, we'd see any combination of the 3. But Michael Tonkin, big hard-throwing right-handed reliever. Lester Olivares, who was recently promoted from AA to AAA. He's returned from Tommy John surgery to serve as a closer for both minor league affiliates. And a local guy, Mark Hamburger, quite a story, who now is starting for Rochester, but might resurface as well as a relief pitcher up here. 2 down.
Well, here's that live fastball we were talking about, straight over the top, 2 strikes. Showed him a breaking ball or 2, and then threw it right by him.
Catch every strikeout, every game ender, every history-making moment on MLB Whip Around. Weeknights at 9 p.m. Central on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. 2 down, Tyler Flowers, chopper to short. And a really nice tidy inning for Ryan Pressly on his return to the major leagues.
Eighth inning at Target Field. And coming up in our post-game show, Twins Live presented by CenturyLink, we'll look at this fantastic start by Hector Noese and what he has been doing to tie up the Twins' bats. Just one Minnesota hit so far, and that was a bloop single by Trevor Plouffe. We'll also have an update on Minnesota's starter, Phil Hughes, who left the game after getting hit in the shin with a ball. So we'll update his status and hear from manager Ron Gardenhire. It's all after the game with Jack Morris and Tom Hanneman. Guys?
All right, we'll see what the Twins can do. First against Noese, maybe get into the White Sox bullpen. It'll be Kurt Suzuki leading off the eighth. They've done nothing against Noese. The only hit, a little pop fly single, then there was a 2-out walk in the fifth inning. But he's had 5 1-2-3 innings. Suzuki with a ground ball to third and a fly ball to center. Strike one.
It has been total domination by Hector Noese. The Twins haven't looked like they had any chance at any time so far to get anything started. There haven't been any even real good swings against Noese. Garcia hit one ball hard to right field. That's about the only one that I recall.
On the outside corner, 2 strikes to Suzuki. Suzuki felt that ball was outside.
It might have been, that was a fine pitch, a pitcher's pitch right on the corner. Looked like a strike. It was close, but that was a great place for a slider.
And a fly ball harmlessly out to center field. An easy play for Eaton. 1 down. Well, here's Noese, who has had some good starts and some bad starts, and this is a good one.
Yeah, there's a 3-2 breaking ball. There's a 2-strike slider. Another breaking ball. Mixing fastballs on the inside corner and the outside corner. This is the only hit. And I will tell you that if he pitches a complete game and he gets through with just one hit, he's going to have absolute sleepless nights that was the one hit that he gave up.
As you said, Eaton didn't seem to break on the ball very quickly. Piazza had a long run, didn't get there. And now Parmelee taps it foul, 1-1. No question it was a hit. But if you're only going to give up one of them, you'd rather it be a hard ground ball or a line drive someplace. Up and away, 2-1.
That's absolutely right. And the other part of that is when a ball's hit that high to the outfield in the major leagues, you just expect that ball to not hit the ground. You expect somebody out there to catch that one. It was a legitimate hit. Nobody got to it for whatever reason. But it's a tough hit to give up if that's going to be your only one.
And now 2-2. There's a clean one. And Parmelee to the opposite field gets a 1-out single.
And now he can sleep better.
And that'll bring up Escobar with a man aboard. Escobar with a grounder to second and a fly ball to left. Again this year, far too often the Twins have found themselves in this familiar spot, down going into the late innings. What has happened prior to tonight, I'm not suggesting for a moment it's going to happen tonight, but almost invariably they've come back and at the very least made a save situation out of it at the end of the game. They are running out of time here with 1 out in the 8th. Not much consolation for a fan base that's watched nearly 300 losses the last 3 years.
That sounds terrible when you say
well,
when you put it that way.
As I tried to explain it during the winter caravan, you can look at it as 3 long years. I just prefer to think of it as one really long bad one. And that'll get away from Flowers, and Parmelee will go to second.
But you're right. The Twins have done a really nice job this year of coming back in situations. They have been in this situation a lot where they get down early. They have also done a very nice job of scrapping back into games and making it exciting by the 9th inning.
Well, the closer situation with the White Sox has never been stable this year, and it's really unstable right now because one of their co-closers, Zach Putnam, was put on the disabled list today with right shoulder inflammation. Jake Perchichka will take over closer duties. Escobar with a swing, and the bat came out of his hands. Never a good thing, but we hope it's just a grip issue.
It's great to see right here. One of the value of Kurt Suzuki, and another one of the examples, talking to his young pitcher. Haven't seen him in a lot. What do you like to throw? What's been your best pitch? When do you like to throw your curveball? Gets right there with him immediately and starts building the rapport, building the relationship with yet another young pitcher on this staff. And Kurt Suzuki's about as good as there is at doing all of that.
2-2 to Escobar. Tap foul. Warming up for the White Sox. That's up the line. That will stay fair, I believe. Yep. And on the play, Parmalee goes to third, 2 away. We'll bring up Danny Santana. Mentioned the 10 games counting tonight, really important games because they're against American League Central teams, and in particular 7 of them against the team ahead of the Twins in the standings. Then a very brief homestand. I mean brief. A night game on the 5th, a day game on the 6th, and then it's back to the West Coast to take on the Oakland A's for 4. So Chrysler 200 road ahead. Danny Santana trying to get the Twins on the board here. Runner at third, 2 down. Strike one. Noesi, as you see, over 100 pitches. Strike 2, fastball.
You can tell that Danny Santana is just not quite himself, not the same hitter he was when he first came up. He's struggling to find a little bit. I don't think I can remember him taking 2 pitches in a row. When he first came up, he was up there hacking right from the very beginning, and it was bad. He's either really in between on Noesi, not knowing what to expect, or, as I suspect, he's just a little bit out of sorts right now.
A deep drive to right field.
What I was talking. That's really out of sorts for him.
Out of sorts, my eye. Long gone to right, and it's 5-2.
So he takes a breaking ball down the middle, and then he takes a fastball down the middle. And then the next strike he sees, he hits about 390 feet.
That'll be the end of the night for Noesi.
And just, why did you throw him that early? Well,
see, he took the one fastball just to set him up.
I guess.
That was a no-doubter.
Yeah, that ball was really hammered.
The Twins get a couple so far in the 8th, and they get into the Chicago bullpen. Daniel Webb will pitch next. got a fastball down the middle and did what a hitter's supposed to do with it.
Yeah, watch how still his head stays. That's just textbook right there. Head stays real still. Hands throw the big end of the bat at the ball. Sometimes a hitter can kind of outthink himself into a 2-strike situation. Danny took a curveball down the middle, and maybe he was looking fastball, and then took a fastball because the curveball confused him. And then with 2 strikes, it was like, well, heck with it. Just see ball, hit ball, and he hit it a long way. It's a very, very pretty swing.
Daniel Webb will pitch next. One other footnote on Santana. Across the board, he looks like an accomplished switch hitter. I mean, he's hitting over 300 from both sides. He's shown power, home run power from both sides of the plate. Strike one to Sam Full.
And you know what's fun about that is that the swing looks remarkably similar from both sides of the plate, and that's what I like about it. He's not manufacturing one swing one way and another one the other way. It's keep your head real still, don't stride much, just throw the big end, see the ball and throw the big end of the bat. It's a very, very simple approach, and as he gets more and more experience, I just think that simple approach is going to result in him being a very, very solid big league hitter.
Wicked shot fielded by Ramirez. What a play! Sam Full hit one right on the nose, and Ramirez picked it off to retire the Twins in the 8th. But in the inning, Danny Santana's 3rd big league home run. A no-doubter to right. You can follow every Twins game with MLB.com @bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replay, scores, stats, audio, and the free MLB.TV game of the day. Download on the App Store or visit twinsbaseball.com today. Well, Ryan Presley's making awfully quick work of the White Sox here. He's gotten 4 outs on 10 pitches. One down, and Alexei Ramirez.
Nothing like throwing a lot of strikes with good stuff. Ramirez made a terrific play, as you said, on that ball that Full hit to end last inning. He can really play that shortstop position.
Fox Tracks presented by Carrier, and at the very least, the Twins have created a save situation now for, I presume, Jake Petrichka out in the Chicago bullpen warming up. Ramirez taking strike one. Slow breaking ball, wild, high and inside. With another year on his contract. White Sox have an option for 2016. Having his best overall year. He fights one off up the middle. Dozier from midair nearly threw him out. Fine play by Dozier, and Ramirez glares back at Brian Dozier for nearly taking a base hit away.
Terrific play right here off the fist a little bit. Dozier gets to it, jumps in the air. It's amazing to me how quickly he can deliver the ball. Now watch him transfer the ball, throws before he gets to full height. The transfer from glove to hand is seamless, and then the strength of the throw from that position. Amazing, amazing body strength and agility from all kinds of positions for Brian Dozier. And that's just another one that makes your mouth come open.
Here's Abreu.
I don't think there's anybody in the ballpark, including all the guys in either dugout, that have seen a lot of baseball that thought when that ball was hit, it would be any close to being that kind of close play at first base.
Foul, one strike.
One of the truly amazing things to me about how well Dozier has played second base and the great plays that we've seen him make time and time again, the quickness of the seamless transfer from glove to hand, and then the arm strength from different funny body positions that he has to be in order to catch the ball, transfer it, throw it. Just really is astounding to me. You just don't see. The only guy that I can think of that rivals his ability to get to the ball, transfer it to his hand, get it away quickly with that kind of arm strength is Robbie Alomar. That's who Brian Dozier is reminding me of more and more. And I thought Robbie Alomar was the best defensive second baseman I'd ever seen.
1-1. Dozier play at first. Cleveland, Kansas City tied at 1 going to the bottom of the 9th. Twins didn't do anything tonight offensively until Santana's 2-run homer in the 8th. Fisted foul. One and two from Ryan Presley to Jose Abreu. Hit hard to center. Hit right at Santana. Out number 2. CenturyLink linked to what's next. Left-hander John Danks has had some really good starts as of late for the White Sox. And Kevin Correa's had some good ones for the Twins.
Should be another real good pitching matchup. Good ball game to watch.
Adam Dunn hit the sharp single off the ankle of Phil Hughes to knock him out of the game in the 4th inning. Hit one just as hard in the 7th to Brian Dozier in short right field. Officially 1 for 3. Up and away, ball 1.
Dunn's a big, strong guy with a big, strong but long swing. Ball's in the middle of the plate. Thigh high or low, hits pretty well. I really think that as we look at Jake Petrichka in the bullpen, getting ready to pitch the ninth for the White Sox, more than likely. But I think he can get done out high, up under his hands.
Count was 2-0. Now it's 3-0. Viciedo on deck. 3-0 to Adam Dunn. And a 4-pitch walk puts him aboard. First and second, 2 now. Viciedo 0 for 4. Twins have been out hit 11-3. One of the 5 runs for the White Sox, an unearned run. The Twins will send up Brian Dozier, Trevor Plouffe, and Josh Willingham in the ninth. Check swing, ball 1.
Very, very important to have Presley hold the White Sox down right here. Don't let it get any more out of hand. 3 runs is not invincible in the 9th inning, but another run here would be tough.
Hot ground ball, Escobar. Dozier, that ends it. Hit a walk. They do no damage. Bottom of the 9th coming up. Twins have the right guys coming up for a 9th inning rally, starting with Brian Dozier. Good innings for Ryan Presley, pitching a 1-2-3-8, dealing with some base runners in the 9th, but no damage done. So he's kept the team within range, created a save situation for Jake Petrichka, who has been a part-time closer for the White Sox with some good results.
You see the numbers all pretty good. The walks number, walk to strikeout ratio, not the best. That may be some of the issue, but for the most part, he's acquitted himself well in the part-time closer role so far.
And he might be the full-time closer till further notice. Moises Sierra taking over in right field. It'll be Dozier, Plouffe, and Willingham. Twins tagged a loss on Petrichka back on June 19th. He was brought into a tie game, 2-2, pitched the 8th inning, and gave up 3 straight hits and a couple of runs. One of the hits by Brian Dozier. And a fastball, a strike. Born in Northfield. Lives in Faribault. On the outside corner, good pitch. 2 years at Iowa Western Community College, and then he went to Indiana State. First team All Missouri Valley Conference. 2006 graduate of Faribault High School. 2-2.
He's got a good arm. Throws 94. Hard slider we just saw.
Struck him out. Got Dozier to start the ninth.
And I have not seen that pitch. That looks like a hard changeup right there. Yeah, that's a some kind of changeup. Looking like a fastball. Bryant swings for fastball speed and just gets out in front of it. About 7 miles an hour slower than his normal speed fastball. That's enough to get a big league hitter off stride.
White Sox have 5 different relief pitchers picking up their 22 saves. Petrichka, as you saw, with 4. Matt Lindstrom on the disabled list has 6. Belisario with 8. And Luke with a fly to left. And coming in is Diaza for out number 2. And that'll bring up Josh Willingham. Willingham 0 for 3. Lined out to Eaton his last time up. Into the 10th inning in Kansas City, tied at 1 between the Indians and the Royals. Strike 1. And missing inside 1-1. One and 2. Petrichka going about his business like he belongs out there.
Absolutely. Throwing a lot of strikes, a lot of good pitches. That ball right there, again, that changeup or something that comes up there looking like a fastball, but it's 6 or 7 miles an hour slower and goes down a little bit. It's a nice pitch.
One and 2. Foul tip. Flowers hangs on, and Petrichka gets the save against his hometown team. And the Twins, who swept the White Sox in their last 4-game series here in June, beaten convincingly here tonight.
Domination by the White Sox tonight. Very, very well pitched game by Noesi, and Petrichka finished it up. But didn't need a whole lot of runs. 5 was going to be plenty.
And Tom Hanneman, the Twins, hoping to salvage, I guess, now a 500 homestand. Right now, their record on this homestand, 2-5.
Dick, the White Sox snap a 5-game losing streak to the Twins tonight as Hector Noesi stymies Minnesota. We'll update Phil Hughes' condition. We'll hear from Ron Gardenhire, and we'll preview tomorrow's Game 2, Dinks against Correa.